And welcome in to another Monday Night Live stream. Just making sure my microphone was actually working. Okay, welcome back in. I was just playing around with some uh, Stream Deck buttons and want to make sure I actually had it all right. So I see the chat is very active tonight. So let's get started and take a look at who's all here. As always, David is first. He is thankful to be watching from home. Didn't have to evacuate. Crazy wildfires. I have not heard about that, David. Glad you're safe where you are, but definitely keep an eye on that. Oddly enough, haven't heard about the wildfires in Washington. I have heard about the wildfires in Canada that causes us to have hazy days because the smoke's coming down from the north. We could probably blame Bob for that or something. All right, who else is here? Eric is here. Welcome in. Doug's here. Welcome in. Hank's here. Welcome. Keith, you made it back. I think is that 2 weeks in a row, Keith? Welcome in. Not terrible. Uh, I wish I could say the same about Verizon. Just leave it. Well, I have a whole rant about that I can go on today if you want me to. We're just gonna leave it there. Unless you want me to hear about a rant, then I can rant all day long. Uh, there's no escape. What if the snow comes later? Hopefully you'll get some snow or some relief. Well, let's see here. Who else is here? Hi, hi, hi. Speaking of Bob Carpenter, welcome in, Bob. Yeah, there's no fade. I need to. I need to figure. I need to keep working on my buttons. We'll put it that way. Um, I really regret buying the small version of this thing and not the big version because, as you can see, my buttons are already full, and then so I have pages created where you can, go back to the home button and call up different things. Like there's all my graphics, not that I'm using tonight, but there's all the graphics I would potentially use. Uh, really wish I had the bigger version. We'll just leave it at that. Eric says he can see and hear me, which is great. Not Terrible says, I'm doing a poll on my community page on what night to do my live streams, but left out Monday so I can see TVJ live. Well, I appreciate that, good monkey. Um, I know for a fact that Keith goes live on Tuesday nights. I think most of us watch him on Tuesday. So I'd recommend Wednesday, and I also know Thursdays are good night as long as you don't collide with Tony at Quick Tech because he typically goes live on Thursdays, but only once a month. So I would say Wednesdays is probably a good night where I don't know anybody who streams on Wednesdays that I'm aware of at least. Nils is in the house. Welcome in. Welcome back, David. The interior of British Columbia is on fire now. It's crazy. Let's blame Canada. Isn't there a song for that? I mean, blame Canada, blame something like that. Jeremy's in the house. Welcome in, Jeremy. Verizon, Latin 4 doesn't work. Yeah. Today, I've had two dropped calls. No, I had three dropped calls today. My wife had four dropped calls, if I'm not mistaken. Um, yeah, just horrible. Uh, Going back to Jeremy's post, I will be hopefully joining Jeremy on his stream Saturday. He's going live from noon to 4 Eastern. He's going to be talking about Monarca and who knows what else. He's asked for guest. I was invited, so I plan on joining probably pretty early in the stream, like 12 or 12:30, just because I have things to do that day. Um, but I plan on joining Jeremy. If you are not subscribed to Jeremy, go over to his channel and give him a like and subscribe. I forget who all is going to be on your channel, Jeremy. Maybe you can post down below who you have coming or who you already have scheduled. I know you gave me some names, but I don't want to drop names if I don't know who, if they're confirmed or not. Bob is posting links. Thank you, Bob. Eric says Stream Decks are like SDI matrices. Everyone regrets buying too small. Yeah, I mean, when I bought this, I was upstairs and using OBS, and I was like, I don't need that many buttons for OBS because I can build scenes and do things. And then I moved downstairs, and I was like, well, I want to do this and this and this and that, and I'm out of buttons. um, although I probably could remove one or two of them if I really wanted to get involved. And I hear a cricket. I have not heard a cricket before. I'm not here, and now I hear a cricket. Interesting. Yes, Keith Bennett points out Aaron streams on Sunday. So does Jeremy. He typically streams on Sunday. So, like I said, I would recommend to Not Terrible that you go on Wednesday. Yeah, Verendi, yep. So David says, I recently bought the Stream Deck Plus, which has some additional features, including a built-in mixer. Yeah, I believe Keith has one of those too. He was trying to get it to work with Premiere. I think he did get it to work with Premiere. Not trying. Sorry, Keith. I just want the bigger one. I realize now that the bigger one. And we have the bigger one at work, and we barely use it. So I was kind of thinking, well, if we don't use it at work, we wouldn't use. But yeah, I should have known better. When in doubt, always buy the bigger one. David says he want to be on Jeremy's stream, but he's going to North Carolina. Well, that sounds like fun too. Jeremy's guest list includes myself, Tony, and Jason. You've invited more, but I haven't heard back. Okay. Well, that should be a fun time. Actually, Monarca was one of the things that I was kind of talking about doing tonight. I should tell you that I don't really have a plan. As you can see by the description down below and the thumbnail, I don't have a plan for tonight. So I'm open to questions, suggestions. I thought about doing a demo of Rivendell again. Rivendell is the radio open source automation tool that I use at the radio station. It's very popular on my channel. People have asked for updated videos. They've dramatically simplified the install. They recommend, I should say, Linux Mint, which I've never used. So I thought it might be interesting to install Linux Mint and just kind of see what happens. So if that's of interest to you, because I've never actually seen Linux Mint before, so might be fun. I did download the ISO. I did put it on there, so I am ready to install it, should that be what we do tonight. So let's see what else is here. The chat is still broken, but I've figured out how to get it to work relatively easily. So you just got to scroll up and down a little bit, and then it works. David says he thought about getting the bigger version. What is the Rivendell equivalent to video content for TV studios? How is it scheduled? Oh, that's an interesting question. So there is no open source alternative that I'm aware of. I would love to know if there is one. The one I've used for playback for TV is called XPlayout. It's by Axel, A-X-E-L. It's Italian, I believe. It's XPlayout. It's about $2,000. It is a very easy to use software. It is very powerful too. It has the ability to have a separate log editor. It has a separate video trimmer, which is handy, and I don't think those are license based. So you can just install as many of those as you want, anywhere you want, which is kind of cool. The trial version will run for free forever. It'll just watermark your video. But if you wanted to give that a try, I would recommend XPlayout. There's another version that costs slightly more from a company called Leetronics. It is in Michigan, somewhere. I forget where. Might actually be close to you, Jeremy. It's in Michigan, and they have been around for a long time. They have a solution now that it does like a channel in a box, they call it, where it'll do play out, it'll bring in graphics. It's kind of like vMix, but it's for master control or television play out, which we typically call master control. So I did stumble upon a very interesting solution this week, and I probably should tell you about that as my first little story. So last week, the station, we had a couple issues on Thursday night, and then one of the issues we had late Thursday, like 11 p.m. Eastern, late, was our our instant replay died. Now, instant replay, for those of you who don't know, is a audio box with a name. It's called the instant replay. It's from 360 Systems, and it looks like. Oh, well, I can't show you because I don't have my HDMI plugged in. Oops. Let me find a picture of it, and I will import it awfully quick. Hold on. I can't. Oh, open image and new. Nope, can't do that either. Come on. I just want to download a picture. Save image. Desktop. Hyperdeck. Media pool. Graphics. We're going to go change to that. That is the wrong graphic. Hold on. Please bear with me. I think I could share this picture too. That might be interesting for those of you who want to see it in a second. So this is what an instant replay looks like. This is how we play our music at the station. It has a GPI trigger, so we can push a button on the audio board, and it'll automatically play out the cart that is selected. It can loop carts. It's pretty nice. Almost every radio station and TV station in the country has either this exact product or something like it. And so it died at like 11 o'clock at night. And the thing about these drives is, at least that one, that version, is it uses SCSI. And I did say that correctly. It is SCSI. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me. I do have, and I forgot to do it tonight. Thank you, Eric. I do have the JAU, and I can have the ability to start it now. I'll just make a note that it's 15 minutes off, so we'll go from there. But yes, so the, oops, come on, graphics, OBS, chat, there we go. So this thing has a SCSI drive in it. And I'm 99% sure everybody in this chat knows what a SCSI drive is. So it died. Imagine that. We've replaced this thing before, and I'm pretty sure we found a SCSI drive years ago that worked. So we've been down that road before where you replace the drive and you keep hoping it works. And so I was like, well, crap. So for the morning shows, they basically just played audio out of VLC, and it worked. But then somebody in my station group gave me this cool PowerShell script, and I was very, very impressed. It actually, when you launch it, will find all the files in the folder and display them as nice big buttons on the screen that you can play, hit the hit, and it'll play it out via VLC in the background. And I was like, this is cool. Like, this is amazing. This is kind of what I wanted to do with Rivendell, but only this runs in Windows, and I have it right now as opposed to building a whole system. So I quickly spun that up, and didn't spin it up. I mean, I quickly got it deployed. I had to grab a new computer, and so we had dedicated computers for this thing. Actually had to tweak it a little bit because it didn't do exactly what I wanted to do. It only showed 20 20 files, and we have at least 26, if not more, by now. So I had to find a way to modify it to get it to expand. I asked the guy for help. He was more than helpful, and we figured out how to make it display 70. So now we have more than enough buttons on the screen, and it plays our audio for our people, and it's much better. The only thing it doesn't have is the GPI abilities, but Rivendell does with a box that we bought, and I'm hoping to build a Rivendell system. So as the permanent replacement for this instant replay machine. So that's story number one. Let's go back to chat and see what people are saying. David says, I should be finishing my next video upload right now. Need a break and a cocktail. David, what's your video on? Let us know. I'm curious, and I'm also curious what you're drinking. So Bob says we should install Rivendell again. DJ Ware has done some Linux Mint coverage on his CyberGizmo channel. Bob says he has a link to Not Terrible's channel. We started the JAU. The Norwegian National TV has made available an interesting tool for playout. It's called Superconductor. Really? I'm curious. Superconductor. Playout tool. Okay. Superconductor is a playout client for Windows that let you control devices like various things. Okay. That looks interesting. I'm not sure it's what I want, but or would like to use, but it does look interesting. Interesting. Let me call it up and let me show you guys what this is doing. Nope, didn't want to do that. Drop in the media pool, go to graphics, change to it, and we are on the air with the graphic. So see how fast that was? Actually surprised myself. So this is what Superconductor looks like, and it looks like you can basically predefine segments and then have it switch to inputs with overlays. That is interesting. So that's like open source automation for streams. That's pretty cool. I may have to try that. I'm definitely bookmarking this for sure. It is available for Linux as an app image. I'm not exactly sure what an app image is. It's also available for Mac. Huh. This looks really interesting. I am so glad you shared that. That is something I will definitely have to look into. We could try it tonight too. I don't know if I'm ready to try that, but we could possibly try that. No, thank you very much, Nils. That's awesome. Yeah, it's not really a console; it's a playback device. I haven't seen SCSI in a while. Yeah, SCSI. Yeah, I remember you had to terminate the thing and had to get the channel address. Was it channel addresses or it was some sort of addressing scheme? Um, it goes back a while, that's for sure. Um, I used SCSI drives for many years. I think most of us have used SCSI drives at some point in our careers. And any NS any NEC. I remember I had my first monitor was an NEC. Was it Color Sync, Smart Sync, Ultra? It had a sync in it. I'm pretty sure it had sync in the name. Um, oh, and I was gonna recommend. I also forgot to I told Haley I would share this, and so before I forget, I wanted to share with all of you Haley's channel. If you are so interested in uh, natural health care and taking care of yourself and whatnot, she's trying to get to 50 subs so she can start streaming from her phone. So I would ask you to please subscribe to her channel if you haven't already. Um, she's been very supportive in me streaming here, so I want to support her, of course, in her endeavor as well. So yes, NEC was great. Um, remember those fondly. You know, Jeremy, yes, my one of my maintenance guys actually mentioned that and shared a link with us that I could do a SCSI to SD card converter. Um, I'm not opposed to that. I may pursue that. My fear, excuse me, my fear is this box is made in 1999, so the box is 24 years old. So the box is 24 years old. I'm really worried that it's just going to die one day. So I don't really want to just invest in it a whole lot, but it does sound like an interesting project. So I may or may not let my guys pursue that just because it might be fun. If you daisy chain 5 different adapters, maybe you'll be able to attach an SD or a SATA drive. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there is. I saw it today. It was a board, and on the one end is a SCSI connector, and the other end is an SD card. And there's a whole bunch of chips in between that must convert SD cards to SCSI. Um, Sounds interesting. Like I said, I may pursue that. Let them guys pursue that. Radio Lark and Shar is here. He'd like to see a bulk import in music. Rivendell. Yes, I think you commented before my channel. Um, so what I would recommend for the bulk import is you set up a watch folder, or sorry, a Dropbox, and then you simply, uh, as long as your music is in the same format, so like artist, title, cut number, whatever it is, you can predefine those things and you can import them. So maybe we'll work on that in a little bit. Um, I do. Yeah. I was actually gonna record. I can let YouTube do it, but I mean, I was gonna actually record the Rivendell part and then put that as its own separate video. So I have not forgot about you for sure. I will definitely come back to that when I can for sure. Uh, that's with the so-called gender changers. Yeah. Um, David, that's an interesting question. I actually just downloaded DaVinci Resolve last week as part of the stream to output video to my Hyperdeck. And I used DaVinci Resolve to edit my video I released yesterday. Um, I'm sure you've all seen it, but if not, I did a little long range test with some UFI, I think it's pronounced UFI, um, wireless bridge. Um, and and so sorry, I was just reading the comment. So I used DaVinci Resolve to edit that video together. It's a little weird. I mean, if you're not used to video editing, it probably makes a lot more sense. If you're used to video editing, there's certain things I just try to do, and they're not as intuitive as I am used to. But if you're not used to editing at all, I think DaVinci Resolve is great. I love that it's free. I love that it works on multiple platforms. I know a lot of people are using it more and more. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just not familiar with it yet. But like I said, I just switched to it last week, or this week, I should say. And I'll be using that going forward simply because it's free. And it works. I mean, it allowed me to cut the video like I wanted. It allowed me to export the video in about half real time. I think my 3.5 minute video took about 7 minutes to export, which, given the hardware, isn't bad. And the only issue I have with it is I can't just make a HyperDeck file. There is no HyperDeck preset that works with my HyperDeck, which is kind of what I was hoping for in the last stream. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some, I guess. Radio, yeah, I mean, if you know anything about Rivendell, the history of it, it's basically one guy, Fred, and then some people around him. Like I said, the Dropboxes are your way to bring in bulk files all at once. They will convert them to WAV if they're not already WAV files. They are easy to use. They're a little, at first, kind of hard to set up, maybe if you're not familiar with that kind of thing, but definitely look up the Dropbox feature in Rivendell. That's what you're looking for. David said his video is a webcam review, and my beverage is vodka and OJ. I'm drinking spring water. I bought the Pro license for Resolve. Okay. Oh, wow, chat is really far behind. So Nils says it's pretty complex. I'm guessing that's the open source tool we were just talking about. Oh yeah, Bob shared the description of what it actually is. I think Nils, you kind of have to be complex. I mean, everyone wants it to be simple and easy, whether it's XPlayout or what was that tool called again? Something Commander? Superconductor. Everyone wants, things to be easy and whatnot, but when you get to a certain level in production, whether it's audio, video, whatever, it doesn't become easier. It becomes complicated almost, 5 times, 10 times, whatever. It's not a linear transition. The more things you want to do, if you want them automated especially, it becomes harder. So I'm not surprised, and I think it's okay. I think it's okay to have complicated things. So Keith says, hit the like button, everybody. I would say the same thing. So far, it looks like 9 concurrent viewers and 8 likes. So thank you very much for that. And yes, exponentially complicated. That's what I'm saying. Yes, as you go up in the world, things become more and more complicated. They don't get any easier. That's for sure. So back up top, I feel bad the webcam is poor quality and not cheap. I'm curious what webcam you reviewed. Has support? Yes, actually it does, because in the little video on the GitHub page they show you a Stream Deck playing the commands. So, yep, look at Nils bringing up new stuff. No, I appreciate that very much. Lunds, that's right, it was Lunds, and you had to actually care about that crap, or it didn't work. Kind of like iSCSI today. It has Lunds in it, but they don't really make a lot of sense to me. But yes, it was Lunds. Thank you, Bob, for that word. I was like, It's not called addresses. It's called something else. But I had a SCSI scanner as well. I had this goes back a ways. Um, I remember Christmas time where my dad had bought a gift, and my mom swore up and down she did not know what it was. And it was this huge box. I mean, for a kid, it was a huge box. And I was like, what is this thing? I want to know what it is. And dad wouldn't tell. He just kept laughing. Mom was like, I don't know what it is. So, of course, the first thing we opened on Christmas morning was this big box, and it was a SCSI scanner. Um, Pretty sure it was SCSI. It was a flatbed color scanner, which I just thought was the coolest thing to have at home. I mean, we had a Packard Bell computer. I think it was Windows 95 or 98. I don't remember exactly. Maybe probably Windows 98. Um, and yeah, so wow, that goes. I forgot about that, David. Thank you for going back a way. Multi-sync 5. I think yeah, it was definitely multi-sync. That's the monitor I had. Not terrible says his wife remembers NEC monitors. I still want to know. Wasn't it 2 weeks ago that your wife and you had an idea you were going to do something related to my master class in failure? Just a nice way I'm putting that. Um, I remember you saying you were going to do something. Have you done that yet? I'm just curious. Um, Eric says, I used to always look at all the Adaptec PCI cards back in the day before. Oh, yeah, Adaptec. Bob's already subbed. Thank you. Oh, yeah, this box has no idea what Y2K is. Or that box, I should say. I was surprised. I flipped it over the other day and it was 1999. I was like, holy crap. I was in high school. Keep beating on it till it's dead. Yeah, I'm not surprised it costs $200. You have the tools to make a SCSI cable. Holy crap! I didn't know anybody could make a SCSI cable. Yeah, I'm with Eric. Uh, David, you are hardcore. Caden Live. I forgot about that. Tom Lawrence uses Cade or used Caden Live for quite some time. Um, I think I tried that once and I could not get. I don't know why I couldn't get to work. Um, Cade, yeah, I would recommend Resolve. I mean, it's definitely going to be supported by most, by a lot of things and people. Um, so I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. That's for sure. But then again, it's Black Magic, so. Um, oh, Black Resolve does 10-bit color. Okay. Oh, David does hard drive and floppy cables too. So I think Dave, you definitely get the the points for being the most hardcore IT person I've known. Um, yeah, radio. Look at that. Look up Dropboxes. That's what you're looking for. Yeah, the old IE stuff. Eric says, I know getting those wires lined up's got to be tricky. Saying as someone who's struggled crimping RJ45s. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine those small wires and getting them. Although I guess they're all. I guess if you buy the ribbon cable, it wouldn't be too weird because it's already there. Um, they're already in a row. So I mean, like, you just kind of put the ends on it. I guess that may not be too hard unless you're trying to change pins around. Then that'd probably get weird. Um, Eric says took a lot of practice. I bet. Or sorry, David says to Eric it took a lot of practice. Logical unit numbers. Okay. Yes, that's right. You had to do that. That scanner, I want to say our scanner cost, I think Dad said it was 300, give or take. This was probably like I said 99 or 2000. So, I don't know when you bought yours. Jazz drives. Oh my god, I forgot about jazz drives. Those were all the thing for like a year. Um, I've I remember jazz drives and zip drives. We had those in school. I never had one, never had to use one, but we had them attached to the computers. Um, so I remember seeing them, but never actually using them. Haley points out that she likes long drives. End of the sunset, yes. Not terrible says he did follow up on that. I must email you that. It's just a domain name. Oh, okay. Yeah, let me know. I'm curious to know what you guys came up with. First scanner was an Epson Action Scan 2, and of course it was SCSI. David or Bob says, "You turned it over. You tempted the magic smoke gods. It was off. Let me rephrase that. It was off. I had already taken it out. I already removed it from the shelf, and it had sat over here for several minutes. Then I flipped it over to see what the year was. So it was not actively running. Quick story time. I'm probably shared this story before, but maybe I didn't. So back in the '90s, late '90s, LAN parties were all the thing, and I'm sure you've all been to a LAN party. So we were at my friend Jason's house, and having a LAN party, and I remember my computer having issues, and we didn't have a whole lot of money, like so I didn't have like the latest and greatest computers, but I had basically hand me down parts, kind of like what I do today. I take the hand me down parts, I take stuff together that we were going to throw away, and I cobbled it together to make a computer. So I had this computer, and I think we were playing Command and Conquer, Red Alert, or is that Red Alert Command and whatever that game was called. And it was probably 11:30 midnight, whatever it was. I remember being cold as hell outside, so it was winter time, and I was very new to computers, and I remember opening my computer up while it was running to do something. I don't know why. And I flipped the hard drive over because it wasn't really in there very well. And next thing you know, the world's freaking worst smell started just going everywhere. And I remember grabbing the hard drive once I realized what it was. I think someone might have even commented, like, grab the hard drive. Grabbing the hard drive, taking it outside. It was hot. I remember being hot. The actual hard drive was hot. Um, and I remember kind of just chucking it in the snow or like tossing it out the front door because it smelled so bad and it was hot. Um, and I remember this because, like, of course, now my computer is dead because I don't have a hard drive. So now what do I do? I'm pretty sure my other friend Justin and I ended up going to like Walmart or Meyer at like 2 o'clock in the morning because we were bored. Of course, that was back in the day when I would stay up late. Now it's like 2 o'clock, I'm in bed. But back then it was like 2 o'clock was nothing. Um, so, oh, not terrible. Just emailed me. Uh, Not terrible. Can I share that, or do you do not care? Um, that's pretty funny. Um, so yeah, that's my story about flipping hard drives over and getting the magic smoke out. So uh, do not recommend at all. Don't do that. Ribbon cables where every second toucher is a ground for interference. Oh, okay. Cyberlink Power Director. Hmm. Is Cyberlink still a thing? I don't think they are. Maybe not hardcore as much as old school. I mean, yeah. Oh yeah, primary and secondary. You had to choose the jumper on the thing. I always got that wrong. Jazz and Zipzides had the click of death. Did they really? I don't remember that. I didn't really use them that much. A SCSI DAT tape drive. Wow. You still have some of the tapes? I wonder if do they work? Um, if you're interested or you haven't seen it yet, on my channel, like way back, like 6 years ago, before I did anything on YouTube, really, I did post a video from inside a tape library. That's a pretty cool video if you've never seen one of those before. Eric says 1 GB jazz followed by 2 gig. Yeah, the saddest day is when you lose your data on the cartridge. Yeah, losing data sucks. One of the first non-productive things I did with my new home, with my Windows, was play a free version of Doom. Cat 2. So, not terrible. Um, ordered ultimatestreamingfailure.com and wants to know if I want to use it. So he actually followed up on that because I remember kind of saying we should buy the URL, or I thought Joe was going to buy that URL, and that's funny. So anyway, want anybody? I don't have any plans on using that, but that's pretty cool. I'll think about that one a little bit. That could be interesting. I might have some fun with that one. You threw away all your DAT drives. Okay. The click of death is the colloquial term for the distinctive sound that is zipped. Yeah, I can imagine. I've heard hard drives do that before. I had a hard drive. Well, a coworker of mine had a hard drive that was making a click of death. This was like an IDE or no, it might have been SATA. I forget exactly. I was making the big clicking sound, and we actually froze it. We put it in the freezer overnight, and then the next day we came in, had the computer all ready to go, ran to the freezer, pulled the drive out, plugged in the computer, booted it, just enough to copy over his pictures folder because his family pictures were on that machine and he had not backed it up. So he wanted us to do everything we possibly could to get those photos back. I do not recall if we got all of them back. I don't think we did. Um, but we got quite a bit off before it just clicked again and then died. Uh, and I don't remember we ever got it back a second time. Like we had one shot at it. So um, I remember the clicking sound. Alrighty, so oh, not terrible says the tape library video is how he found my channel. Oh, that's cool. Now you have me interested. What did I? How many people have actually found that video and subscribed to my channel? Excuse me while I pull up the statistics. Analytics, content. That is not what I wanted to look at. Dashboard. Nope, content, sorry. Videos, we go back a while. I've actually released more videos than I realized. Holy crap. So the video that got the most views was the Inside the Tape library with the video on, or with the light on, sorry. If you haven't seen the video, here is a link to it. And according to the analytics for that video, it has gotten 17 views in the last 28 days. So people are still finding it interesting. In the lifetime of that video, uh, 5,000 views, 68 watch hours, and it's gotten me 9 subscribers. So, with Not Terrible being one of those. So, awesome. I remember just taking that video on a whim and uploading it and just like, let's just see what happens. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, so let's go back to the chat. Write a history book on early home networks. That would be interesting. Well, I don't know about writing a history book, but you should totally do a video on it because I think that would do well. There's a channel I just discovered not too long ago that talks about retro networking gear, and they covered the Cisco Pix firewall that I believe was the first device to do NAT. It's a very popular video. It came recommended to me, so I would think a video on the early history of home networks would actually be popular. I think it'd be get a lot of views on YouTube. My friend had an old HP massive server drive that he figured out how to build a data encoder and decoder for. Oh man, I was that reminds me. I had an HP server. Remember the old HP servers that were like 2 PCs wide, and they had like a bank of like CD drives in the front, and libraries used them. I remember having one of those because we were throwing them away. The high school I was at threw one away, and I remember grabbing it from the junk pile, and it it had like 8 CD drives in it. Um, but I mean, this thing was massive. It was like 2 computers wide, and it was, of course, very deep, and it had a whole drive bay or a whole side was just for CD drives. I don't recall if I ever got it to actually do anything. I don't remember it ever working, but I remember I grabbed it thinking, well, this is cool. We'll play with it, and it didn't do anything as far as I remember. I'm pretty sure it ran Novell. I remember being on a Novell network. The drive was 100 pounds, or the server was 100 pounds. Probably the same server I'm thinking about. David says he found my channel through the First Home Networking. Okay, cool. Pop says we were young enough and stupid enough to try and use those 14-inch platters as frisbees. Oh, geez. 14. How much does that damn thing weigh? Oh, boy. Yeah, that was a great video. Yeah. If you've never seen that video, it's worth a watch. I want to say it's 20 minutes long, but totally worth the watch. ODDs? Oh, optical disk drives. Yeah. Yeah. Pretty cool. David says he found my channel through Joe's old channel. Okay. Yeah. We were on a Zoom call together, weren't we? One time? I feel like we were on a Zoom call. Yeah. Having 3 people try to access Microsoft Encarta at the same time. Oh, I don't miss those days. Those were some interesting days. I still have Novell installation disk. Wow. Yeah, that's right. That's why I thought that's where we first met. Yeah, we used to do those Thursday night hangouts after his live stream. Keith now does one every 3 months. Is it, Keith? I think it's once a quarter. Hank and I actually met in one of those. Well, the last one Keith did. That's where I actually met Hank. So I don't know if you're still here, Hank, or not, but hello. Yep, Joe was definitely one of the people who encouraged me to start this channel. And then, of course, Joe dropped off the internet for a while, and then he's back. Um, Joe, if you're curious, I'm sure you all know, but Joe has a Learn Blue Iris channel. I don't think he's actually posted anything in quite a while, but Novell Netwear. Yep. So this is interesting. So a couple years ago, our transmitter controller that ran in DOS died. The PC just died, and so we didn't have control over the transmitter. And of course, DOS is like we didn't have any old computers. So I found who was it? I think my friend actually Justin, the one I was talking about earlier, who has since passed away. I think he gave me DOS installation disk. The last version was it 6.2? I'm guessing. That sounds familiar. He gave me a DOS. So I remember installing DOS on a virtual machine inside a VMware player. Was it player? No, it was ESXi. So we took an old PC out to the transmitter site, running ESXi, the free version. We installed DOS 6.2 on it because we had the floppy files, like we had the actual controller software on floppy. So using a USB floppy drive, we copied the files onto this DOS VM, reboot, opened the program, and the damn thing worked. I was just floored that we could get, what was it called? It was the DC 128. It was this really old transmitter controller software or device, and remember getting DOS, and it worked. I forget how we connected to it. Was it through USB? Now I'm confused. How do we talk to it? Because it's like old, and it's like a standalone box. Oh, a serial. It was you connected to it via serial, and so but you had to have the DOS client to connect to it, and we didn't have a DOS client, so I ran it on VMware, and it worked. I was just shocked. That actually came up in my Facebook memories not too long ago. It came up again, and I was like, that was a crazy day where we actually got that damn thing to work. Hank's still here. Welcome. Thanks for staying with us, Hank. Matt Moore says hi. I don't recall you being here before, Matt. Welcome in. Um, Let us know where you're from or what you do. I'm curious to know a little bit about you, Matt. Bob says what's really creepy is seeing those urban explorers go through those old hospitals. Oh yeah, yeah. There's some interesting urban explorers on YouTube. I don't really follow any of them continuously, but I mean, was it Proper People? That sounds familiar. They do some cool stuff, and Bright Sun Films. He does a lot of like look back videos. Those are pretty cool. Actually, Bob, being it's Canada, my favorite one that they went back and did was the billionaires. I think he was a billionaire. The lumber guy who built a house on a lake, and it had the corporate office, or was supposed to have the corporate office with the house. So like half the building's a house, half the building's a corporate office, and it had like an indoor boat dock. I can't remember the guy's name or the house or wherever it was. I want to say it was outside of Is it outside of Toronto? I want to say, yeah, with yeah, the massive pool. I think it had a massive. Yeah, it had a big pool. It had like I want to say like a racquetball court. It had a gym. Um, Everything out in the world is outside of Toronto. Hey, I mean for a USA or a US citizen, I'm pretty proud of the fact that I actually know where Toronto is and been there. So, you know, small victories, small victories. Yeah, proper people just pops up occasionally and it's like, oh, cool. Like, I think they did a power plant one time. That was pretty interesting. PE for doers says, David says, I regret throwing away a lot of my old shit. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of doing that right now with this basement. I mean, we're over here is a the storage closet, mechanical room slash storage, and we're kind of just going through some of the stuff. And it's like, why did I keep this stuff? I'm never going to use it again. I've never used it since we moved in this house. And so basically, my current thought process is like, unless I have a very specific memory attached to something or like experience with it, I'm just kind of getting rid of it. Like, I don't really need it. I don't want to take up a lot of space. I definitely don't want to be a hoarder like that. I don't want to keep stuff just for the sake of keeping it. Um, so what I've kind of done is I kind of default now to taking pictures on things and like making sure I keep lots of pictures because to me pictures trigger memories and therefore I think it's better than keeping this stuff. So, but some people have attachments to stuff. I get it, but to me, I'm more like taking pictures with stuff and then throwing it away because I don't want to keep the actual item if I'm not using it. But you know, Matt Morris says I'm from New Zealand. Okay, wow. I live stream soccer and I'm about to start running a VMix setup directing for local motorsports. How cool! Well, welcome in. What time is it in New Zealand? Probably like I think you're ahead of us. So is it morning there? I'm curious to know what time it is, Matt. Yes, it was. He was lumber. He was definitely a lumber guy because I remember the wood paneling being kind of a thing. Lots of wood paneling in the house, and like one whole floor was for his bedroom, which was kind of crazy. Yeah, the day after you throw something away, you or a dear friend will need it tomorrow. That's probably true. But then again, that's what people on here are for. Like, so if I needed something, maybe you'd have it, or Tony would have it, or Joe would have it, or David would have it. Now I know where to know. If I need some SCSI cables, I'm going to call David. You mean I should throw stuff away and not keep it? Memories, good stuff, better. I mean, to each their own. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you that what I've been doing is I don't want to keep a whole storage room of stuff, especially if it's going to flood again, because the basement flooded once before. So we lost a lot of stuff we didn't want to lose. So now we got to make sure everything's off the floors and in plastic bins so we don't lose anything else if it happens again. One button I definitely need to program is the cough button, apparently. Um, so let me check on. So we're at plus 15 means we're at 1 JAU. That's pretty cool. Yeah, if it doesn't spark joy, um, it needs to go away. Yeah, it's kind of my philosophy. David says, I know a guy who added an extension to his house just to keep his old stuff. I mean, if you can afford that, by all means. Yeah, and some people are definitely going to have throw some cash at some old stuff. Depends on what it is. Yes, I think this looks like the right one. No, I don't want to. Yes, it was the largest mansion in Canada. I'm gonna hit watch later on that video again because I feel like watching it again. So if you're curious about the mansion that I was talking about, this link will give you uh, a link to the video that I watched and an article about it. So pretty cool. Toro's in the house. Welcome in. Yeah, I agree with Eric. Doing soccer and motorsports, awfully fun. I should let you know, I actually just emailed someone back today about doing two high school football games this fall. Um, I have not heard anything back yet to confirm that I've been scheduled for that, but I just signed up to do football, American football, I should say. Um, this fall, I'm going to do two games. So hopefully that works out. That'll be fun to get back in the swing of doing some more freelance stuff. Um, Alrighty, so what else? Ooh, chat just jumped because I just got a whole bunch. I trimmed down all my old tech. Oh, that's right, Keith. Joe did send you some of his stuff. What is harder, getting rid of my tech stuff or my kids' toys? I don't know how to answer that question, so I don't know. My live streaming hobby is not good for my hoarding. Yeah, I've kind of been put all my stuff in this corner over here. So this is my all my stuff now. If it doesn't fit in this corner of the basement, kind of don't need it. I do have my tech wall still in there, um, which I need to get back to because it's kind of been a disaster recently. Um, I've unplugged some things, changed some things around, and then just kind of went back to clean it all up. So my cable modem is sitting on a shelf where it should be on the wall. Um, my router, which is an old desktop PC, is sitting on a shelf. It needs to go either on the wall or I need to get a small router that can fit on the wall because I want everything on the wall um, so it's not taking up floor space. That being said, um, my virtualization server is quite large, so it's not going to go on the wall. So I'm not quite sure what to do about that. But I guess if one thing's not on the wall, we can live with it. Sometimes it's great to inherit or take stuff off other people's hands. Yes. You've kept every PC game since 1993. How many is that? I'm curious. I'm not a PC gamer, so the only games that I have currently um, is I have an open source. Does that still run? Do I have that somewhere? I don't think it's on here. I think it's upstairs. Um, yeah, I don't have it up. I don't have it down here. So I have the only two games I have right now are an open source uh, product. What do you call it? Conversion, if you will, of Transport Tycoon, which was a game I played back in the '90s, early 2000s. It was just like Roller Coaster Tycoon or all those tycoon games, but it was you build your own transportation network. You could do boats, trains, planes, buses, all that stuff. I don't know why I loved it so much. I just did. Um, I had a really cool rail network set up. So somebody open sourced it, or I should say forked it, I guess, is maybe a better way to do it. And so it runs now on modern PCs. So I have that game, and then I have City Skylines, which is the modern version of SimCity. When I bought it like 4 years ago, my PC couldn't run it. So now I have PCs that can actually kind of play that game because time. But those are the only two games that I even have access to these days that I would even play. Um, I used to do the Duke Nukem. I did Red Alert, Command and Conquer, SimCity 2000. Um, what other games did we play? We played a bunch of games at LAN parties, but I don't remember what they all were. Excuse me, jeez. We should do a stream on old stuff. Oh, it's 2 p.m. in New Zealand. Okay. Oh, that's right. Like, aren't you like the first country in the new after the dateline or whatever? I think you are. So it's 2 p.m. and tomorrow. Alrighty. Yeah, Nils is in Germany, right? I think it's Germany. So it's like 3 a.m. there. Yes, we did pass officially one JAU. Yeah, give your tech stuff to your kids. That's a great idea. I've actually done that before. Toro wishes he had a tech wall. Yeah, I remember when we bought the house. I kind of remember like so the panel is like in the middle of this wall, and there's space on both sides. And I was like, just we could put all the tech on the wall, take up no floor space. It'd be awesome, and it'd be unique. No, nobody else. I mean, most people don't have tech walls, so and stuff hangs in the midair through Miracle Cat 6 cable. Well, if I were you, I might want to change that. I don't. That doesn't sound very good. I've seen some of those photos from like data centers where they couldn't like move the cable or move the device, so like they just replaced the rack, but the unit was just kind of hanging there because they couldn't get rid of it for whatever reason. Is it like one of those things, Eric, where it's just kind of hanging in the middle of the walkway or whatever? David just told his wife that he regrets throwing away all the old stuff. She said either that junk her had to go too, or either that junk or she had to go. Okay. Quake and Doom. Yeah, I remember playing those. I've never owned them. I was thinking of the one I was just thinking about was it 1914 or it was some like first person shooter about the war. Oh, what was that called? It was the first one I remember actually like playing where I was like, this is impressive, like graphic wise. Um, what was that called? I don't know. I'm sure if you're good at Google, you can figure it out. Um, what would you miss more? Duck. Yeah. Oh, that'd be funny. Yeah, actually, it was pretty interesting. The other day, I should say the other day, it was probably a month or two ago. We got graphics put in our newsroom, and the guy who's hanging up the graphics goes, "Hi, Jay," and I'm like, "Hi, who are you? I don't know who you are." And it was actually a guy who I used to go to LAN parties with, and he had one at a local elementary school, and there was like 40 kids there, if not more. I mean, it was huge. And I remember it was the first time I ever saw um, a 48, I think it was a 48 port, 3-com switch. Like we had D-Link hubs everywhere. We had some switches, but I don't think I've ever seen a 48 port switch. before that time. And we were always like, whoa, what is this thing? you know, um, how cool is that? What do you know? We were just kind of amazed that here this guy had a Switch at a LAN party and a 48 port one at that. And then he had run cables across the gym floor to like all these other tables. And then each table, I want to say, had like an 8 port switch or hub. I can't remember. Probably switch, but I don't remember exactly. But yeah, it was pretty cool. And like he just showed up in the newsroom one day. I was like, "Wow, cool, nice to see you. I haven't seen you in 20 years." Yeah, please don't present me with that decision. I don't want to make that decision. Your tech floor has grown into spaghetti. Now I'm kind of curious to see it. Okay, I want to see a picture of your tech floor. I have quite the collection of VGA cables. I actually just oh, I think I took it to work. I just had a box. I just put a whole box of stuff together to get rid of, and it was all USB A to B cables. I mean, like first gen USB cables. And then I had a bunch of eSATA cables because that was a thing for a while. And then I had a bunch of USB micro cables. Micro? No, mini. The the ones that are not like oval. They're like the blocky ones. I forget. It's a bad way to describe it, but you know what I'm talking about. Had a bunch of those for like old cameras and old devices that I don't even have anymore. So um, copper, the places around us will not take networking cables or anything like that anymore because they said it's not worth it. There's too much other junk, and they don't want the copper anymore, even if it's in unless you're doing like a bulk. I mean, you've got to fill like a whole tub of cable up before they'll take it. We found that out by doing our newsroom. We're like, well, we'll just take all this cable over, and they're like, could you not bring that stuff anymore, please? Battlefield 1942. There it is. I knew someone would know. Yeah, Battlefield 1942. We played that at a LAN party, and I remember just going, "Wow, like this is cool. This is the graphics on this are actually nice." you know. And I have to make a video of me trying my old Atari. It get views. I can guarantee that. Toro says he used to work for my local school district. I was allowed to borrow the spare switches that weren't in use. Ah, okay, yeah. Maybe that's what he did. I don't know. I just remember it being really cool. Investment cables. That's one way to look at it. Maybe you can justify your keeping them because it's an investment that'll pay off at some point when copper goes sky high. Just wait until you need to plug in a printer or a scanner via USB. I mean, they usually come with USB cables these days, but they did back then, I guess, too. I don't know. Maybe not. Um, am I really all caught up with chat finally? Wow. Alrighty. Well, I didn't plug my monitor in, so if I'm going to do anything else, I got to go plug my computer monitor in. Um, so do you want to see me install Rivendell, or um, should we call it a wraps? What are people thinking? Bob says he's going to have a great evening. He's got to go do some things. All right. Bye, Bob. Thank you. Oh, yeah. Plenum grade cable. That's where the money's at. Toro says he'd stick around. Oh, Bob wants to see it live? Okay. Oh, not terrible. Just emailed me the picture. Come on. Yeah, I might wait till do Rivendell live. I might promote that next week. How come I couldn't get? My new phone is weird. That's not. That's not terrible. um, I expected worse, honestly. um, yeah, we'll probably wait till next week to do Rivendell. I think I'm gonna I'll promote that as the stream topic for the night. Because frankly, I'm kind of getting tired. Um, I'm actually off tomorrow, which is surprising. I mean, I took the day off for plans, and so I actually get to like sleep in tomorrow. It's gonna be fun. The Cat 3's been downgraded to clothesline. Oh yeah, so yeah, you technically were right. It did run to the basement, but it was for long range test. So um, what's the color pattern behind you? So this is actually just color bars, and it's the auxiliary out of my switcher, so I can route whatever I want to it. Based on my lighting, the only thing I think actually looks good is color bars. Um, Oddly enough, this is supposed to be blue, and it looks blue to me, but for some reason on this camera, it's the wrong color. Actually, that's really interesting. Why is it the wrong color? I just noticed it. That's weird. Why is it the wrong color? Now you gotta figure out why the my color is off. Not like my color, but like this color. Interesting. That is a great idea. I should do that. I should change. Interesting. I'm gonna make a note of that. Yeah, it's lilac. That's a great color. That's a great. Um, Good night. Thanks for joining. Hopefully you'll be here next week. We'll do Rivendell. Um, yeah, it looks great. Well, I mean, you actually can't see the gray. It's just over here, but that's blue, and then this should be dark pink, not light pink. So like the colors are just weird. Why is and like if I switch to the other thing, this is red, obviously, and then that to me is like a yellow, and it's coming out teal. Interesting. I do like this feature. This not this feature I'm saying, but right now you'll notice that. Um, wow, this is weird. So you'll notice right here is a comment. but on the video in the back, there's no comment. So this switcher has the ability to do clean feed, which reminds me I can't do Rivendell tonight because I was going to record the clean feed of of my stream so I could cut down the parts that I need to for a video, and I forgot to change the input to this to be the clean feed, and I can't do that without killing this monitor back here, so I'd have to rewire things. So I just realized I'm not set up to do Rivendell tonight because I need to change this to be a clean feed output so it doesn't have any of the fonts, but I can still bring up people's questions for the stream. So I hope to do a kind of 2-in-1 broadcast next week where I can do the live stream with fonts and then do a clean version later on for everybody, so a more condensed version, if you will. Alrighty, so there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, and I think some of you are probably seen it before. Well, I know Nils has because we talked, and Eric, I think you commented on it. So if you remember the stream that went awry, one of the issues, one of the issues started with was the encoder that I couldn't get into. But one of the issues we also had prior to the stream was my decoder video was flashing. And I could never figure out why Tony's video was flashing. It was fine, you know, like coming from him. It was just a local decoding issue. And I could never figure it out. So the workaround that I had was to run the video into the hyperdeck, into a converter, and then take the loop out. And then I, last week, had some time on my hand. And so to prove my theory, I did this. So I took the output of the decoder and I ran it through a splitter. And then on the one side of the splitter, I have a 75 ohm terminator. And then the output on the left, that cable, fed the Blackmagic switcher. And that solved the black flash issue. So why does that work? Well, I think based on just what I can assume at this point, is that the decoder is outputting a very strong signal, and the Blackmagic TV studio doesn't like that strong signal, so it kept losing basically lock on the signal. So by splitting the signal and therefore lowering the strength, it fixed the black flash issue. And that's what the loop through was essentially doing, was it was splitting the signal and therefore accomplishing the same thing as the splitter. And so why that was an issue, I don't know. It just must be that those U-Ray decoders or whatever, but that shouldn't be an issue. But if you ever run into black flashing video, not constantly, like it was a good picture and then it would flash black and then it'd go for a while, then it'd flash black again. The video was not doing it in a pattern that was recognizable. It seemed to be random. I don't remember it being anything about movement or like that. It would just do it randomly, and it made no sense to me. And that's what it was. It was I think the signal was just too hot, if you will. It was too strong. And so putting a splitter on it fixed it, which who knew, you know? Toro says that the off-color blue is those values. Interesting. I will have to figure that out, or figure out why my color is off by, yeah. So this is the fix for the decoder. I didn't realize it was for the, yeah, it was for the decoder. So, Yeah, it was the Black Flash issue. I don't know. Splitting it worked. Yeah, my water's almost gone, so I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to last as well. Hey, Joe, welcome in. Yes, we are still live, and in fact, uh, this counter is wrong, but this proves that we've went at least over an hour. The JAU counter is back in effect, so but I failed to start it right away. So, yep, splitters are very good attenuators. So, sorry, Joe, that you just yeah, sorry you're way late. You're still working. Are you doing a fun event or are you just editing? Curious. Um, I'm gonna go about 3 more minutes, maybe to go to 10:30 Eastern time, and then we will call it a wrap on the night. If you have any questions or comments, please get them in. Um, I want to thank Matt Moore, who's a new viewer, for joining us tonight, and of course everybody else who joined in as always. Um, I think I will definitely be doing a Rivendell stream next week. Let me check my calendar because I'm before I say that. I live on my calendar these days. I'm so like everything's every day's got something. So yeah, I don't have anything on my calendar for next Monday. So I'm going to make that a Rivendell stream, and then I'm gonna set up the hyperdeck to record the clean feed, so I can cut that stream down into a smaller, more concise video. Um, so look forward to that. Hopefully you can all attend or are at least interested in it. It should be fun. We'll be looking at Linux Mint, which will be new to me. So that should be interesting. I know it's a Ubuntu Riven or based off Ubuntu, which I'm not a big fan of these days, but it seems to work. The script looks easy, or the install looks easy. So um, we'll do that next week. Yeah, Matt Morris from New Zealand. So this show is now worldwide. Well, we already were worldwide because Nils is from, I think, Germany, if I'm not mistaken. Joe says he's going to test Riverside.fm. I've heard of Riverside.fm. What is Riverside.fm? I've heard of it. Oh, yeah. Transcribe, clip, and edit within seconds. Interesting. Easily record podcasts and videos from your phone. Okay. Yeah, we probably looked at this during COVID, as my guess. That page does seem familiar to me. No, I've never used it, but I've heard of it. Oh, Michael made it. Welcome in, Michael. Unfortunately, I'm just wrapping the stream up, but glad to see that you join us for the night. We talked about your video or your video and the picture last week. I don't know if you saw that or not, Michael, but we did talk about your event. I think that was last week. So, any more events coming up for you? I just said earlier, I just signed up to do 2 freelance football games in the fall. So we'll see how those go. um, they're just local high school games, so they're nothing spectacular, but should be fun nonetheless. I mean, I haven't done a freelance gig in uh, over a year. Yeah, yeah, it's been over a year. Holy crap! It's been actually 18 months, I think. No, exactly 18 months. So I'm excited about getting back in doing the freelance stuff a little bit. Not a lot, but I mean, I'm gonna just do a football game. So, all right, good night. I'm gonna be calling it quits too. Squadcast. So Joe says, just really need to record a remote guest in higher quality. Let me know what you think about that. I'm curious to know how it works for you. Um, we might have a use case for that as well if it works out well. So I guess if you're doing track and field, yeah, it probably would be wrapping up about right now. Alrighty, well, I want to thank you all for being here. As always, I truly do appreciate you making this fun, making this enjoyable, and look forward to Rivendell next week, barring who knows what. But my plan will be to do Rivendell next week. I know we did it before, but Rivendell has a new version out. The new version is based on or designed to run with Ubuntu. It's designed to be easy to install, so should make for some interesting content. So I want to thank you all again, and you all have a good night.